The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Bank of a Better. Sign up today at just the Pepper Code SGPN to get a $25 deposit bonus. And welcome, everybody, to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Friday evening, around 6 p.m. Eastern Time on May 30th. First episode of Sky Reichel, once again joined by Lonte Smith. Together, we're going to break down the only game on the card for Saturday, Game 6. Weren't sure we were going to get a Game 6, Lonte, but we got one, as the Knicks were able to win Game 5. We are officially waiting to find out who's going to play the Thunder in the NBA Finals, but the Knicks survived to fight another day, as Game 6 is going to be taking place on Saturday. Apologies if you were expecting an episode earlier today at normal time at 11 a.m. Truth is, there was no need to have an episode because we had no games for today, so we decided to just record it later. Point is, though, games taking place tomorrow should be fun. Belante, how's it going with you? What's up?
Pretty good, man. Glad we got another game and we're not deprived for a week without basketball. I'm hoping we get a Game 7 for Monday too. Just, I guess, a little preview of what I expect.
Yeah, either way, point is Game 5 we'll talk about in a second. For the recap, pretty good for me in general. I did think the Pacers were going to win. That didn't work out. I did hit the dog, though. I hit my lock. I had the Josh Hart rebounds that got there. I gave out the double-double on the Mothership show a couple days ago at plus 360. That got there, too, so that worked out well for me. Shout out to Josh Hart, who had a monster second half to help me cash that bet. Plus, I know we also hit the Underdog lineup, which is pretty nice. We dominated that, too. We had Hart higher on his rebounds, Nembhard lower on his points, and Mitchell Robinson lower on his PR. And that was a nice payout as well. So hit the Underdog lineup, hit the lock for me.
That barely got there.
I don't know if it barely did. I mean, Robinson played his classic 20 minutes, finished with 12.
What did he?
Or 13. Like, it wasn't like that much of a sweat. It was fine, I thought. He had a monster first quarter, but he doesn't play many minutes besides the first quarter, so it was fine. But no, overall, it was pretty good. So can't complain there. But I'll ask you, though, for your thoughts on Game 5. What do you think? Because the Knicks showed up, punched him in the mouth, Pacers hung around, but Halliburton no-showed the entire game. So the Knicks ended up winning. Brunson was great. Cat looked good, despite the knee concerns. He showed no issues there. Yeah. And nobody in Indiana could hit a shot. And the Knicks won. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought the game played out exactly how I thought it would. To be honest, I thought that the Knicks would come out with a lot of energy, a lot of effort, and you could see that from the jump ball. Brunson was efficient and effective way early on. I thought Tibbs did a good job getting him off the ball a little bit earlier, getting him into their half-court sets, which I kind of been calling for. Did a really good job of, crowding the space of Halliburton. I just thought the effort was at an all-time high, which, again, is what I thought. You can't fake desperation. They just looked like the desperate team. If you saw Siakam's post-game, you saw him kind of allude to the fact that, hey, they just played harder than us, and it showed, and I think that's really what it is. Now, if you're a Knicks fan, you're kind of thinking, hey, we got to play with that same effort on the road. If you're a Pacers fan, you're saying, no, we're not going to play that bad at home, which they haven't. I don't think they played really bad in Game 4. I think the Knicks just were desperate again. So, back against the wall, Knicks has been the best Knicks of the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting how I move forward. But I thought the game played out similar to how I envisioned it playing out.
Did not think it played out that way. I thought that with the Cat injury, I thought it was going to be more severe than it actually was. So Cat looked very good. So that one I got wrong. However, I thought the Pacers offensively would still find a solid amount of open looks. And that just didn't happen. Knicks came out like a team that was desperate, the team that had their season on the line, and they dominated for the most part. The defense was great. I thought Shamet's intensity was very important. I thought that, once again, Brunson was hitting every shot early in the game. He went 12 of 18. He was great. The Cat was really good. It just felt like Indiana, besides Mathurin having a 20-plus point game, nobody did anything on Indiana offensively the entire game. Siakam had 15. He was actually a -1. He was the only starter whose plus-minus wasn't absolute garbage. Every other starter had a plus-minus of -20 or worse. Nembhard continues to struggle. Turner took 3 shots the entire game. I don't know what the hell he was doing. Nesmith was 1 of 8. He only played 16 minutes. And Halliburton took 7 shots. So after having a monster game, he ended up doing nothing the game after, and the Knicks jumped him. But Halliburton, quick moment of silence for his top 10 NBA player candidacy, which lasted about a day and a half because he's not a top 10 player in the league. He's between 12 and 20. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But he's not top 10. But he no-showed a game. I expect him to bounce back in Game 6. But it felt like Indiana played like a team that knew they had a couple of games, I'd say, they had extra lives in their back pocket, and the Knicks didn't have that. It felt like the Knicks showed up in a must-win game and played the part of a team that was desperate, a team that was going to out-hustle you and just play better basketball, simply put. Indiana came in there like, oh, we got a couple games. We got Game 6 at home. We're fine. And they kind of no-showed the entire game. That's how I looked at it. Is that what you saw? Because I feel like that kind of sums it all up.
Yeah, that's pretty much that's similar to how I looked at it. I mean, you could tell by the minutes that Carlisle was playing those guys. But I did think that once the Pacers got it to a certain point where I was like, okay, it's striking distance. And then the Knicks just kind of put the foot on the gas again. So you saw, I think Nesmith played under 25 minutes. I think Halliburton played right around that 25-minute mark. So, yeah, I think the Knicks came out with, you can't fake desperation, man. You can't fake it, and it's hard to match the intensity of a team, especially on the defensive end. I thought just defensively they were really good.
Yeah, I'm trying to quickly see if we know who's going to be the official refs for the NBA game tomorrow. I don't think it's been listed yet. I see JT mentioning. JT's mentioning if you want to go for the conspiracy angle of course, the Knicks being a big market and the Pacers not being so. I'll wait to see if Scott Foster is doing Game 6 or not, and then I'll get back to you on that because it might be important. But point is, Indiana had a game in their back pocket, technically 2, but you don't want to go back to MSG for Game 7 if you don't have to. So we'll see how the Pacers look. I'm not going to overreact to it that much, but it was a nice win for the Knicks that they needed, and we'll see how they look here in Game 6. Anything else you want to add, or should we just move on into Game 6?
No, we can move on because I'll pretty much add anything that I wanted to.
So before we get into Game 6, though, a reminder that we have more content in SGP this week because the SGP guys are going to be ripping packs live on air next Monday night. They'll be breaking a case of Panini Prisms with dabs and you get 10% off your favorite team. With promo code SGPN, go to sportsgamblingpods.com/break to get in on the action. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost, first ever bank account for bettors, ensuring that all your gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums. Get cash rewards as well. 100% approval. Providing deposit sign up today. EdgeBoost.bet. Promo code SGPN. Deposit $25. EdgeBoost match deposit. EdgeBoost.bet. Promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy because they're going long for the playoffs with their extender bonus. Hop in Game 1, and the longer the series goes, the bigger the bonus gets. Reminder: you sign up for your new account though. Use the promo code NBSGPN. They had a special back and first time was an offer up to 1K bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code NBASGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Game Podcast. Finish recapping what happened in Game 5. Time to move on into Game 6. Pacers are laying 3.5 in this game. Over-unders at 219.5. Knicks did steal a road game in Game 3. So they have gone into this building before and won. They should have lost. They were down 20. Doesn't matter, though. They found a way to win. They got to do it again, though, in order to force Game 7. In this one, we have no ref assignments yet, so Scott Foster might be waiting in the wings. We'll see. Who knows? Points though, Indiana no-showed Game 5. We're expecting a much better effort here from them in Game 6. The Knicks, though, have found some interesting lineups and interesting overall strategy, I'd say, changes to make some games more competitive. They've been hanging in there. They've kind of switched some things up with the rotation. Shamet's been getting more run. DeLon Wright's getting more run. Defensively, the Knicks have kind of half-flipped the switch where they have been willing to try some new things, and it's been effective recently for the last couple of games. They have won 2 of the last 3. That counts for something. But I'll ask you for this game, Pacers are laying 5.5. Do you think, first of all, the spread is right? Second of all, are you picking the Knicks to keep the momentum rolling? Or are you picking the Pacers to win with the crazy environment over there in Indy?
Well, I want the Knicks to win, to get a Game 7 in the Garden. That would be electric. But I do think the Pacers close them out, but I like the Knicks on the spread. I'm going to take the 3.5. But I do think that the Pacers will bounce back and play extremely well as they have been at home pretty much all postseason. But the Knicks, they did find some things. One was getting Brunson off the ball a little bit more, especially in the half court. I thought the pressure of Halliburton and kind of making other guys create shots, which they're not. Halliburton is probably the only other shot creator or playmaker that they have on the floor. Nesmith's not, Nembhard's not, Siakam's. They don't have another playmaker on the floor. So forcing those guys to either create for themselves or others kind of took the Pacers out of rhythm. Now, Carlisle went back and was saying he's got to put the guys in a better position, which is, I guess coach speaks so to say, but I think that more so it's on the players, and I think the effort will be a whole lot higher. The Knicks have to do a good job of coming in, setting the tone. They've done a good job on the road in hostile environments. I mean, they played well in Boston, obviously, really good in Detroit as well. So I don't think they'll be rattled or anything by the moment, but I do think the Pacers will probably be just a little bit better in the end and maybe force the Knicks to run out of gas and make a few more plays. But I think Knicks will stay within a number. I think this is a classic game, 2-3-point game. And the Pacers, I think the one thing that they can hang their hat on is that at home, they dictate the pace. They dictate how they want to play, and they're not going to let the Knicks do that. They're going to get out and run. I thought the Knicks' pressure was really good, but now the Pacers have a chance to counter that. So how they counter that, I think will be key in the game. But I do like the Knicks plus the 3.5, but I think the Pacers.
Yeah, I think for this one, I'm going with the Pacers as well. It just felt like a game I got it wrong. I'll admit that, but I thought the Pacers would come in with more urgency. Maybe just because I figured they would want to end it as quickly as possible. They did the opposite. They didn't give a damn. They no-showed the entire game. The Knicks came out there, punched them in the mouth early, punched them again in the second quarter, and at that point on, the Pacers really never got into it. They made a bit of a run there early fourth quarter. It was never really that close. The Knicks kind of coasted, and they looked like the better team. So I'll pick Indiana to once again look sharp at home. I'll pick them to win. The argument for the total we're going to talk about in a second, because it could go either way. But I do think Indiana played the worst game they could possibly play, and I'm not going to overreact to that. I'll pick him to bounce back at home in Game 6. Halliburton better shoot the ball more. He was very passive. I think he'll look better moving forward. One thing I will give Carlisle credit for, though, with the entire team playing badly, he kind of experimented with the bench unit, which maybe will allow other guys to get runtime in Game 6. Like Jarris Walker, he was barely playing the entire series, and then he actually had 13 minutes. He scored 6 points. I thought he was fine. Mathurin played 25 minutes. Shepard played 22. Obi played 18. But it was mostly using Jarris. I just liked how he was willing to look at the roster and the score, and he kind of said to himself, this game's a lost cause. Let me see what I can find for future games. And he might have found another guy in Walker maybe for a couple minutes. So we'll see what happens. But I do like how Carlisle, I don't want to say pulled the plug, but I like how he was willing to kind of throw bench guys out there to see if anything can be applied to future games. I kind of liked how he planned that out. And we saw the Knicks play well. We'll see how they look here in Indiana. I think it'll be close. I'll pick the Pacers to cover, though. I'll go Indiana 1-10 for this one. The Knicks hang in there. Game's close, but I am picking Indiana to win. I think that it's just too tough to beat this team in Indiana 2 times in a series. You could argue that the Knicks might have found an answer. Maybe Indiana just couldn't hit a shot. I got to call out Nembhard. I know he ended up winning on his points lower in the Underdog entry. He's been a mess, and he's got to play better moving forward. So I wanted to mention him. Mathurin's been good, though. You're looking at a pretty decent price, though, for 1-10. Pacers 1-10 is plus 155. I like it. I think if Indiana wins, it's close. I see the Knicks hang in there no matter what. But I do think Indiana will just make enough shots down the stretch, force enough mistakes from the Knicks to win. And I see them winning by like 6. That's where I'm at. So give me the Pacers 1-10 for this one at plus 155. For the total, though, I'm going to ask you, because it is kind of correlated, the Pacers, we know, like to play fast. The Knicks want to slow it down, play physical, and limit the actual points in transition. I'll ask you for this one, though, can the Pacers win an under game, or does it have to go over if we're picking Indiana to win?
No, I think they can, and I think they will, because I like the under in this game. I think this will play out like a game 7. I mean, obviously, this is a game 7 for the Knicks. But I do think the Pacers will be more physical defensively. They were a little bit softer defensively than what we've seen. And they're not a good defensive team, but they have been better as they progress through the playoffs. And I thought they were just a little bit softer on defense in New York. And once the kind of avalanche got going, you kind of see them not press up a little bit as much, and they're not turning the guys over. So I do think that they'll play a little bit more slower. I know they want to play a little bit fast, but I think they'll play a little bit more slower, more physical. And I think the Knicks defense will kind of dictate that. I think the Knicks defensive intensity and their defensive sets were a lot more sharper. So I don't think that the Pacers actually want to slow the ball down. I think the Knicks defense will be good enough to where they have to slow the ball down. They get stops in transition. I think they had like 7 points in transition at the half, which was like the least they've had all year. The Pacers, that is. So I think the Knicks did a good job of that, and I think that's repeatable. I think you can carry that on to the road. I think the Pacers win a low-scoring game. I think we maybe see, 105, 103-ish, something like that.
I find the total so tricky because Indiana, especially in that first quarter, better be running in that first quarter. Because the Knicks, the main reason why they were able to take control early, they dominated the pace. The physicality was on point, but the Knicks did a very good job of limiting transition, and I felt like the Knicks did a good job of simply put getting back. They had a couple of lapses as the game went on, but as a whole, they were very good at limiting the transition opportunities. Knicks also owned the paint. They outscored the Pacers 60-34 in the paint. That's how I would go about it if I'm the Knicks. I would just keep going to the basket. I don't think that you're looking at a matchup where Turner can have success against Towns. I think Turner's been getting cooked against Towns for almost the entire series, and you're looking at what counters they have. They don't have much. Brunson's been great in terms of scoring. Cat's been more aggressive. He's going to the basket a lot more, and that's opening up a lot of stuff for his teammates and also letting him get to the free throw line a bit more. But I do question Indiana's defense. Do they actually have answers for those two guys? Or do I think the Knicks have finally pivoted and they're finally being, I'd say, more aggressive, leaning into their two guys to just get downhill and get whatever they want? Indiana still fouls a lot. They can't really guard Towns going downhill. And Brunson's been having a mid-range fest all postseason, and he's getting whatever he wants too. So the total's tricky to me because the Knicks have to go out of their way to make the game ugly. They really do. And I do think the Knicks can, in theory, win a high-scoring game, but their chances go up dramatically if it's low scoring. So based on that, I'm going to go with the under in this game. Think the Knicks will go out of their way to force a very slow, methodical game. They have to if they want to have any chance at winning. And I think with that being the case, I'm going to pick Indiana to win. I'm picking it to be close, but I think the under is how I'll go about it. People will blindly take the over because it's in Indiana. They had a bad game. They'll play better. Maybe. But the Knicks defensively, I think, have upped the aggression and they've upped the physicality, which has definitely impacted Indiana. So based on that, I'll go with the under in this one with the Pacers to cover. But I'll go with the Pacers 1-10 instead. I'm picking the series to end in 6. Pre-series, I had Pacers in 7, but I think the Pacers at home will get the job done here in this game. Anything else you want to add? I know we got props in a second, but is there anything you want to talk about for the actual side and total?
No, that's about it. I thought you summed it up really good. So I like the under. I mean, I just think the physicality will be on the level of a Game 7. So
if the Knicks want any shot, it's got to be on the level of a Game 7. So I agree with you on that. Moving on to the props for the Game 6 matchup. I'll ask you first what you like because, I like Josh Hart rebounds. I'll keep taking it. Keeps going over. So I'll keep taking it. That's where I'll start. But I'll ask you, where do you want to go for props?
Yeah, I guess the easy one would be Tyrese if you believe he's going to have a bounce-back effort. But I think there was something to the way the Knicks played him. So I would look at Tyrese under still. I mean, I know it's going to be a popular bet to go over, but I like his under because the defense that Mikal was putting on him, they crowded him. They forced him to, play through a lot of contact off ball. And once he didn't get the ball off the rebound or was not like given the ball to, do his advanced pass, he wasn't really seeing a lot of the ball. So I think they did a good job there. So that's one of my sleeper ones that I'm probably going to be on, under 20.5.
Yeah, he had one monster scoring game, but he's been pretty bad at scoring in every other game. So I can get behind that too.
Yeah, and granted, he's not a scorer. Like, he doesn't have to score. I mean, they're better when he scores, obviously. But he's a 16 to 20-point scorer. Like, I think that's around the range that he's going to be, like, his whole career. He's a pass-first point guard. So I don't like the scoring thing. Doesn't really bother me as much as it does other people, but he just wasn't aggressive enough.
That's the issue I have with Halliburton, because he constantly looks to pass. He doesn't actually look for his own shot enough, and that kind of makes him, I don't want to say a liability offensively, obviously, but it feels like it limits his upside because he's not really looking for his shot all the time. So if you stay home, you know he's most likely going to kick it out. And I feel like that's something that teams are starting to kind of key in on a bit more, at least from what I've noticed, with the exception of Game 4, where he went crazy and he 30-plus points. I just don't see why he can't be that aggressive all the time. That's kind of the issue I have with Haliburton as a player, and I'm hoping he realizes that and kind of adjusts his mental psyche and starts being more aggressive, looking for his own shot more often. But I agree with you. I think this number is pretty high. I'll go with the under with you on the points. I'll go for a role player, which I think is pretty fun. Give me Landry Shamet over half a three-pointer. Even money. He's made a 3 in 3 straight games. He's played double-digit minutes in 3 straight games. No, but the point is he comes around screens. He can shoot a little bit. His defensive intensity is definitely impressive. He's been a pretty important piece off the bench for this team. And it's at even money. He's attempted 2+ in 3 straight games. I like the volume. He can make shots. Clearly the Knicks like using him because his intensity defensively is on notice. It's been very noticeable. Like, I think he's been good in the series. Give me Landry Shamet over half a 3 at even money. That is on BetMGM. Do you want to ask you, though, any other props you want to mention?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Miles Turner. I think he's an X factor. He hasn't been playing well. Shot attempts have been under 10 in back-to-back games. But I do think he plays better at home. I think 19 and 13 is what he scored in games 3 and 4. So he's been a lot better at home. I think he'll be more assertive. He's getting a lot more of the Karl Anthony Towns. They're trying to switch trying to switch Miles Turner on to Karl Anthony Towns, the Knicks that is, and Karl is pretty much just doing whatever he wants to against him and Siakam. But I do think Miles will be a little bit more aggressive on the glass, and I think he'll be a little bit more aggressive in making some of his shots because they were murdering them in the pick and roll in that first 2 games. I think they kind of got away from it a little bit more because they were going to Siakam, and Siakam had it going. But I think the pick and roll should be in full effect for this specific game. So I like Miles Turner over. And who else did I like? I think that's about it until we get to the dog section.
Well, I am going to ask you, though, are you fading Nembhard again?
Yeah, I think I will, man. That would be – it depends on what – is the number still 11 and a half?
Let me check because he has been really, really bad.
Because I think that – yeah, I think Benedict Mathurin he'll have an early clip. I think I think Nembhard will have an early clip. If he's not effective early – and I mean, he's not doing a ton defensively on Brunson, so it's not like this. This is the time where you got to play this like a game 7. So if something's not working, you got to get away from it. And Carlisle does a good job of that anyway. So I think he'll be fine with whoever he has to come out there. Maybe if you go with more size, you want to put Toppin out there a little bit more. I can kind of
so it got adjusted a little bit. It's at 10.5. So it's not as bad or as high as it was, but it's still bettable. So it's still 10.5.
Yeah, I think it closed 10.5 yesterday too. So yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah, for reference, he has had less than 10 points in 3 straight. He's had 9 points in the last 2 games combined. So there you go. I do want to point out, though, I am also going to mention Cat points in this game. It's at 21.5. He's had at least 24 in 3 straight. He's been really good. He's getting downhill. Turner can't guard him, and it feels like he's stopped settling so much from outside shots. He's been aggressive ever since the second half, fourth quarter specifically, of game 3. I like how he's been performing. 24 in 3 straight. I like it. Give me 21.5 over on Cat points as well for this one. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for my props. Lonte, anything you want to plug else, or anything else you want to plug for props, or should we just move on to the lock and dog?
Oh, no, that's it. We're all
so before we get into the actual best bets for the show, reminder they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is Rhythm, because our job at SGPN is to help you find the best picks. And now we've got a new tool to help take things to a new level. You've heard us talk about Rhythm before, and now they dropped a brand new game-changing feature called Power Trends. They are AI-detected patterns where Rhythm's models have just only one, and they have a high ROI. Power Trends are uploaded every single day, and they're exclusive to Rhythm. No touts, no noise, just clean data-backed bets. And you can also download the Rhythm app, check out the Power Trends, and start betting smarter. You know that we will be doing so. Also, try it for free for a week based on 7-day free trial. Go to sportsgamble.com/RATHMM. We're also brought to you by Circa Ultimate Simple Giveaway, because Circa in Las Vegas, giving away the ultimate fantasy experience for a 12-person league in Vegas to draft and be treated VIPs for their stay. 2-night stay, Circa Resort and Casino for the entire 12-person league. Hold the banner, stadium swim the 5K food and beverage credit, and a reminder, we'll get limited transportation to and from the airport and much more. Contest from May 5th to June 30th. Enter at sportsgamble.com/Circa, sportsgamble.com/CIRCA. We're also brought to you by MyBookie.ag because they're the book to every sport. They have the playoffs, they have the NHL playoffs, they have tennis, they have golf. You name it, they're available at some locations as well. Use crypto for largest payouts. Easy to deposit when you sign up for a new account. Use the promo code SGPN. They get a 1% match up to 1K. Terms and conditions apply. MyBookie.ag promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Again podcast. Finished going through the preview of Game 6 between the Knicks and the Pacers. Time to move on into the lock and dog picks. Lonte, what do you go first? What's going to be your lock and dog for the show?
Yeah, so a lot, we're going to go with the plus 3.5 for the Knicks. I think they keep it close. I think it's going to be a classic game. This has been a really good series back and forth. The Knicks have actually outscored the Pacers in total points, so I think we'll see a classic game come down to the stretch. I think the Knicks have to do a good job of putting the crowd out of it early, not letting the Pacers play from in front. You see they're a totally different team when they're playing from behind. Got to make them call the first time out. I think that's always key for the road team is to get the home team to call the first time out. I think if they do so, they'll be fine to stay within. So I like the 3.5 for the Knicks, and let's just keep it with the Knicks as well for the dog. And the parlay, both of their big guys, both of their guys to have 25 plus points as Brunson and Towns. You can get that at plus 215. I just think you broke it down for the Town side. I mean, he's been unstoppable getting to the paint. I think he was 8 of 12 from the restricted area. He wasn't doing a lot of shooting of the threes we saw in Game 4. But I think he can mix it up a little bit more. Now, granted, they play through him a lot more than they usually do when Brunson is on the floor. They typically do that when Brunson's on the bench. But I think that opened up a lot of stuff for Brunson as well, even though he got it going early. But I mean, Brunson's going to get his 25 regardless. But I think Cat has a big game as well. And I hope I'm wrong and the Knicks win and we get Game 7 on Monday. But I think the Pacers close them out. But I think it'll be a classic game.
Yeah, so for my lock, I think I'm just going to go back to what's been working. I'll go back to it again. Why would I stop? Give me Josh Hart rebounds again at 9.5. Still plus 105. Sure. Thanks, I guess. I mean, it keeps going over this number. I don't know why I'm going to stop taking it. You're looking at it being plus money again, exact same price. And he's had at least 10 rebounds in 3 straight. He's had at least 10 rebounds in 5 of the last 6 games. He's been a monster on the boards. He's had at least 10 rebounds in 14 of his last 18 games against the Pacers. He's just been a monster on the boards. He plays 34 minutes every game minimum. And I think with a must-win game being, of course, on the cards for the Knicks, I see a good spot for Hart to play a bunch of minutes again. He might be sitting for the first 7 minutes of the first quarter. Again, I don't care. That's fine. He'll still play 34 the entire game. Give me Josh Hart over on his 9.5 rebounds at plus 105 as of my lock. For my dog, I think I might go with a Turner fade because I really just have not been a fan of how Turner's played recently. And you could argue maybe that was one game. Maybe he'll look better. I have just not been a fan of how he's been performing. I think that he's a guy who just doesn't, maybe it's a basketball IQ thing. I'm not really sure what it is, but I've just not been impressed by just watching Miles Turner play over the last couple of games. So I'm going to go with the Miles Turner fade, actually. I think he's going to struggle in this game. I'll go with a same-game parlay, actually, for Turner in this one. I'm going to go with Miles Turner under his points, and I'm going to throw in the threes, actually. I think he'll be a ghost for this game. So I'll go with Miles Turner under on his 14.5 points and his under 1.5 threes. Unfortunately, though, that does not pay out enough, so I might have to pivot, actually, which does kind of suck. Instead, I'll pivot to 2 guys in Indiana who have not done much recently. I think they'll struggle again. I'll stay with the Turner under points. Give me Turner under 14.5 points, but I will throw in Nembhard under 10.5 points. So once again, Turner under 14.5 and Nembhard under 10.5, plus 226. That'll be my dog. I'll fade those 2 guys. I think they'll struggle. I think Siakam and Halliburton take over more of the offensive load in this game, but I don't trust Turner. I don't trust Nembhard. They're good enough for me. I'll go with those 2 guys fading as my dog for the show. Now it's time for the underdog entry for the game itself. Lonte, I know that, of course, I like Josh Hart rebounds. Do you want to reuse it again?
Yep, and cat points. Love that.
Okay, so that's like 2. Do you want to go back to Nembhard or do you want to go for something different? You want to go Mathurin?
Nimhard. What was it? What's the other one that you said you like? See, I like Turner to go higher.
I'm very anti Miles
so
Turner.
Stay off of that one.
I'm just not a Miles Turner guy.
Yeah. You want to go Hallie lower?
We could do that, or if you wanted to, we could try Matherin if you want to go for it.
Yeah. See, I kind of like Matherin because I think Nimhard will struggle. We could let's just go back to
is that 9? Is that 9?
Yeah, let's go to the Nimhard. Let's go to the.
You want to do it?
Under. Oh yeah. Oh, you may go higher on
because I don't like Nemhard either.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So once again, our 3-pick entry for Underdog is going to be on Josh Hart higher, 9.5 rebounds. Going to go with Karl-Anthony Towns higher on his 21.5 points. And last but not actually, it might be 22.5. Let me quickly check. I just noticed that the cat line might be slightly different. I like it anyway, but just to be clear, I want to make sure that I got the right number listed. So it is 22.5, so apologies there. So once again, the 3-pick entry for Underdog is going to be on Josh Hart higher, 9.5 rebounds. We're going to go with Karl-Anthony Towns higher, 22.5 points, and Matherin higher, 9.5 points. That's going to wrap it up there for the show, and we'll see when we'll be back for the next episode. If there is a Game 7, we'll be back for that. If not, we have a couple days off. So we'll see when we're going to be back for the preview of the NBA Finals. But either way, that's going to wrap it up for the show. Lonte, anything else you want to add?
That's about it, man. Hopefully we'll be back on Monday for talking about a Game 7 and the Knicks potentially.
Yep, we'll see what happens.
Lead. I did give him 11% chance to do so.
You gave him a higher chance than I did. But either way, we'll see how Game 6 unfolds on Saturday. We'll go from there. Follow me on Twitter, Reichel Radio. Find me on Twitter at XSLonteXX. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.